Hey everybody, I'm Neil Runnahan, and we just finished the first part of E3, I guess. E3 Day 0 or Day 3. I'm not really sure how we even keep count of all this stuff now that E3 starts on a Saturday and ends sometime in July. But we're going to go over the Nintendo news that has come out so far as we are on the eve of the Nintendo E3 Spotlight and the start of the conference itself. Joining me to discuss FIFA, Skyrim, Mario and Rabbids, and some other stuff is David Lloyd.
How are you?
JP Corbin.
Hey, everybody.
And Donald Terrio. Donald?
Donald,
Are you there? Donald, can you hear me?
they're not good.
Okay, maybe we lost a Donald. Looks like he's frozen. But I don't know if Donald will have too much to add to the first bit of Nintendo news that we're going to be covering, and that's FIFA 18. It's a real thing. It's playable. It's out in the wild. It was not at E3 but at EA Play. We have some footage of the game out there already. But JP, as our resident soccer fanatic,
Yes, and FIFA expert.
yeah, with your Sounders. Your celebratory
Sounders shirt,
garb.
U.S. national team hat. I'm decked out for this.
So how are you feeling about FIFA on Switch? I know that it does have Ultimate Team.
It does.
So that's good. It does not have the Journey story mode.
That is a shame. The thing is, I never got that into it with last year's version of the game. Like, it's cool, and I really appreciate what EA was trying to do, but it doesn't have that much lasting appeal to me, I didn't think. I mean, it would be nice if it were there, but I mean, it's not that big of a loss.
Are you planning to get FIFA on Switch? And
I definitely.
Will it take over your FIFA playing habits? Do you think you're going to lean primarily towards Switch?
Yeah, I think I'm at least going to give that a shot. I'm going to try to do that. I just love the idea of having sports games on like a handheld form factor like that. I used to, back when they made it, get really into MLB The Show on Vita, and around that time played FIFA for PS4 and remote play. So I just love to have that option with games like this that I'm going to sink a ton of time into. Whether or not it sticks is going to depend on the depth of the modes, which we didn't really see that much. You know, we showed gameplay, which looks okay, but I really have to see how, exactly what we're going to get in terms of a career mode.
Yeah, it seems like they're kind of promising just like a regular old vanilla career mode, which would hopefully be enough. Like, I mean
that's what I play most of the time. I mean, even last year, like it's just how many of the features of the current career mode are going to be implemented in this version of the game.
Yeah,
like so like that, I want to see more of that, and we haven't really seen that so far.
Yeah, it is a custom version of the game. It looks like it's kind of halfway between, like a PS3 360 version and a PS4 Xbox One version. It's not running on the EA Frostbite engine,
which is just as good because it caused a lot of problems last year. Maybe they fixed that in this year's version, but the Frostbite engine was pretty it negatively impacted gameplay in last year's version of the game. Maybe they fix that this year on the other consoles, but I'm just as happy to not have that there this time.
Yeah, I think some of the other impressions that I had read about the game during the EA Play was basically that it was FIFA 16 with some different lighting. That seemed to be where they're going with that, and if that's the case, that was the last one that before Frostbite. So
right, and in terms of just gameplay standpoint, I definitely preferred FIFA 16 to FIFA 17. So that honestly kind of sounds like a good thing. I guess it depends on what they're gonna do. Like if they fix some of those issues with the other game, I don't know. But like FIFA 16 was better than FIFA 17 in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I haven't played a FIFA game since the launch of the Wii U.
Yes, and that was a really good version too.
It was a really good version.
It was very good. I reviewed that. I gave it, I think, a 9. So hopefully this one is on that level. It'd be great. And it was so good they never released another one on the Wii U. Yes, hopefully that changes this time. Hopefully, I guess maybe if they put in enough work trying to build a custom engine, maybe they'll try and milk something out of it and give us another.
Yeah.
Hopefully it sells halfway decent.
So moving on to the next announcement, I mean, that was pretty much it for Saturday. EA didn't comment on anything else. I think they made the comment about how the new Need for Speed could run on Switch, but they're not going to bother, which is kind of like, come on, maybe just say no comment. Like, you don't need to stoke that fire more.
It seems like okay, if playing and if FIFA does well, then maybe next time. But yeah,
I'd like to see it lead into NHL 2018.
Yeah, I mean,
that would be awesome. It's not going to happen, but it would be amazing.
Bring Madden. I don't think Madden's ever coming to Switch.
Madden, I don't know. Madden, I think if FIFA does really well, then maybe, but probably not.
Yeah, I mean, that would definitely be the step forward for EA. I mean, at least for the sports stuff, is if FIFA on Switch sells really well, then, I mean, we'd understandably get a FIFA next year as well, and then maybe Madden would be the next domino to fall.
Right.
I still think even if FIFA's a success, I don't know if FIFA's success means that all sports game will work, or if just FIFA will work.
I mean, and again, like the Switch is probably going to be biggest in Japan, where there's probably an audience for FIFA, whereas not so much for Madden. So
or NHL.
Yeah.
American football is a mild curiosity in Japan, and let's not even get into hockey. So
yeah,
that's probably going to be your best bet.
There'd be a small market in Europe for it.
Yeah. They had a national team that was up in some of the higher levels, but I don't think their hockey leagues are all that big in Japan. So
no.
All right. So moving on to the next news, which was oddly at the Microsoft conference. Minecraft, there's cross-system play coming to Minecraft across a whole bunch of consoles. I think there was some confusion over this at first, but the way it looks is that all versions of the Xbox, so it's PC, Xbox One, mobile versions, and the Switch version. They will all be able to be played together.
That is very cool. That is, I believe that is accurate.
I looked at your news editor. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. It's like I think it's just the Windows 10 version on the PC. Because I know some people that are heavily into the PC version, and they've indicated this won't work for them. But you figure Microsoft owns Minecraft, so they would put it on their platforms and make it work. The big story I think out of this is that Sony is continuing to refuse to do cross-platform play because they're the main stumbling block for cross-platform Rocket League as well.
It is. I mean, it is interesting that Nintendo agreed to this. Like, I don't know that I necessarily would have expected that.
I think it's a super smart play. I mean, even
it's smart, but I wouldn't still. That doesn't mean Nintendo's going to do it.
And I saw something today that so there's the super duper graphics pack that's coming to. It's gonna Minecraft in 4K.
Yeah.
Basically, just kind of like updates the textures. The lighting looks better. That a not as pretty, like it's not going to be 4K on Switch, but that super duper graphics pack will be coming to Switch as well, and every platform that's part of this cross system compatibility. It just like it'll look nicer. It just won't look as nice as the Xbox One X.
I know,
but that's awesome. Like I mean. I like the idea that eventually I will crack down and play Minecraft and try to figure it out because Minecraft is probably the first game that I started looking at and was just like, oh, what happened to me? I'm old.
I know.
My niece plays a ton of it on mobile, and I could play it on Switch, and then we could play together in the same worlds. That's great.
You need to jump head first. That's how it worked for me. My nephews, same thing, tried to convince me. Got me to download it on the mobile, and I just took 10 minutes and then forget it.
I know, like in the wake of this announcement on the forums, people were already getting together plans of like an NWR kind of Minecraft server that you can access through this.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'll do after this. I'll download Minecraft on Switch.
It's a good version. Like I've sunk a ton of time into it. I hadn't played it in years. They've added so much to the game since I last played it, but I'm getting really into it. So it's a good version.
I did screw around with it on Wii U a little bit, but that was getting near the phase of, hey, maybe there's not that much to do on the Wii U. Am I ever going to play the system again? Kind of stuff. Or it'd be like the random virtual console game would just be easy to play on Wii U. Yeah. So 2013, I think was when it happened. Now my Wii U is currently in my entertainment center, but where I have my Switch dock usually, I just put it in front of the Wii U, so the Wii U is just jammed to the back. I haven't bothered dismantling it because it hasn't. I don't know. It's sad.
You don't need an HDMI port that badly yet.
Yeah. Well, no. I have I do. Like, I think I just unplugged the HDMI cable. It's still hanging out the back of the Wii U. It's not into the TV anymore.
Oh, so you're just doing the off-TV stuff.
Yeah.
If it never comes up, but
yeah.
I tried Minecraft on Wii U when the physical version came out about this time last year, but I just did not get into it. But I suspect since my nephew in Alberta has an Xbox One that they bought specifically for Minecraft, that I might get roped back in.
Yeah. No, I mean, the idea of this cross-compatibility is going to make me way more likely to get into it because I don't really have a lot of people that I know that are super into Minecraft outside of people on the site. I guess more like people nearby. The people nearby that I know that play Minecraft aren't playing it on Switch or Nintendo platforms, but they are playing it on mobile or they are playing it on Xbox.
Deceptively addictive.
Yeah. Weirdly, not a lot of them playing it on PlayStation. So I guess that's convenient.
Yeah.
So moving on to the end of Sunday, we had Skyrim on Switch. It got a trailer at Bethesda's half hour of power at midnight Eastern time. Although I guess technically, if you're on the East Coast, this was Monday morning. But they showed off some cool stuff in the Skyrim Switch trailer. First off, there's motion controls that you can, I don't know, use the Joy-Con to like fire a bow and arrow, swing a sword and shield. I don't know how it'll actually work in practice, but like it might be fun to screw around with. Skyward
Sword Rim.
Yeah. Like, David, are you excited at all for Skyrim in general and motion controls in Skyrim?
I'm a fan of Skyrim. I don't know if I can. It'll be totally depend on the price for me because I actually have Skyrim on the 360, and then for Christmas I got Skyrim remastered for the Xbox One. So now I'm sitting here like, oh my god, like,
your Skyrim.
Am I gonna drop $70 for the third version of the same game? But then I see that I can be Link, and that's
the
drives
idea.
me nuts, and I'm like, no, like, put that in the Xbox One, so I don't have to spend $70. Like,
it could be worse. You could spend $470 and get it in VR.
Oh man.
but you won't be able to play as Link.
I know
what's
it's
the point.
Yeah.
There's no ultimate version. You can either play as Link or VR.
Like. Well, Skyrim came out almost 6 years ago. This is madness.
But
there's still lots to the game that people like. You could play it like when I've played it twice. Once as a wizard and once as an archer, and there's still different ways to play. So I could find reasons to go back, I suppose. But
I mean, for me, like I've been. It's a game like I've always had the ability to play. I've always had platforms that could play it, and I've always been kind of tempted, but I never got around to it. So for me, this seems like the perfect opportunity to do it. So yeah, I'm definitely interested in trying this out.
Did we get a release date?
Just
it's
fall.
Because to me, it would also depend on what's coming out at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I hope this is like an early September release or something, because if it gets later in the year, I think it could easily fall by the wayside. And at first I was kind of like, why isn't Skyrim at launch? But I think if this came out,
it would have got killed by Zelda.
Yeah, like I mean that's the thing, is that I feel like there's too many comparisons to be made between Breath of the Wild and Skyrim, and I think kind of being like, all right, you played Breath of the Wild, you played a ton of Breath of the Wild, now check out Skyrim. It's kind of like that, but old.
Yeah, I think like early September really would be the ideal time. People have finished Zelda, but a lot of the heavy hitters still aren't coming for a little while.
Yeah.
Well, like, it can't be too close to Super Mario Odyssey, because
yeah.
I think early October, because Bethesda seemed to set up for like they have a big release every 2 weeks. So at the end of the year in October with Evil Within 2 and Wolfenstein 2. So maybe they just get it all out in like early October.
Yeah.
And go from
That's
there.
like no later than that. I mean, I think that could work, but even still, you know, that's pushing it, I think.
I just want to make sure they take as much time as they need, because my only experience with Skyrim was the PS3 version at launch.
Oh, you poor soul.
Yeah. I remember the Iwata asked for Xenoblade Chronicles X. Like Iwata was shocked at how much the Mario Club was charging for testing. I want to see what the bill is for Skyrim.
Yeah,
That's the
like
one thing.
I actually, you know what? I wouldn't put it past Skyrim getting a last-minute delay because it fails a lot check like 8 times.
Yeah, Nintendo's not going to let them get away with some of the stuff. I mean, like, it is really looking bad. It is truly amazing how bug-free Zelda was. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you hear the horror stories of Skyrim and all these kinds of things, and Zelda, I'm not going to say it was completely bug-free, but it was great. Like, it really didn't break. It's like it was. There were a lot of things there, but they worked.
Well, some of the bugs are even fun to watch. I watched a YouTube clip where a guy somehow managed to have a bomb in midair, and he had this shield, and then he shot himself over. He was in one of the shrines, and it like lifted him over the wall, so he didn't have to do the whole puzzle. And it was just funny watching Link, you know, do somersaults in the air because he got blasted by a bomb.
Yeah.
We had someone in the chat. The Elephant asked, "What time does E3 start tomorrow?" Noon Eastern is when, or 9 a.m. Pacific is when Nintendo's E3 Spotlight will kick off. And that's basically when E3 starts tomorrow. The show floor itself will not open until noon Pacific, 3 Eastern. We will be live probably between 10 or 11 Eastern tomorrow, playing some ARMS, if you want to check that out. But back to Skyrim. The Amiibo stuff, we kind of touched on that, but didn't spell it out. It looks like all the Zelda Amiibo will do stuff. We don't really know what, other than you will get a Master Sword, a Hylian Shield, and the Champion's Tunic from Breath of the Wild.
Now, will the Master Sword shoot out the blue?
Only when you're at full health. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wonder if we'll get the game and we'll find out that other Amiibo just randomly drop in stuff. Like I'm going to tap like the Duck Hunt Dog to it and see what happens.
Yeah. I'll just like have a bird appear that you have to shoot.
Well, they have to put in Animal Crossing because then they can clear the shelves.
Yeah, no, I'm way in for Skyrim. I haven't played Skyrim since like January 2012, so it's been a long enough time that I've basically forgotten everything about that game other than like Dovahkiin.
And arrows to the knee.
Yeah, arrows. Well, no, I try to forget that, and I did forget it until you
Yeah.
brought it up, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, nice job.
But yeah, no, I'm pretty stoked for Skyrim. I just hope it comes out at a time when I have time to play it. If not, then maybe I'll be playing Skyrim a couple months after it comes out on Switch. So that's basically. Well, I guess we can touch on another thing that's kind of like Sunday/Monday morning. Nicholas, who they've already released The Binding of Isaac on Switch. They're going to release Cave Story Plus in about a week.
Yeah.
And they announced 4 other games coming out for Switch this year. We have Tiny Barbarian DX, which is, according to their press release, a combo-based hack-and-slash platformer that looks like, like a retro-themed 8-bit, 16-bit kind of thing. I've heard good things. I think it's already out on Steam. The End is Nigh, which is the new title from Binding of Isaac / Super Meat Boy.
I cannot wait for this one.
Wonderkin.
It looks like Super Meat Boy 2.
Yeah, it's by Edmund McMillan, who, he makes some damn good games, and this does kind of look like a follow-up to Super Meat Boy, although it is worth noting that it's not him and Tommy Refinez. I'm probably butchering his last name. It is not the exact same people who made Super Meat Boy, but it does look... It's half of the people who made Super Meat Boy.
And in terms of the gameplay we've seen, it is very reminiscent of Super
Yes.
Meat Boy.
Yeah.
Which I'm up for it. Yes, please.
It'll Do 2 Plus is the sequel to a game that came out on Wii U by the company Ludosity. It's kind of like a Zelda-like that I don't really remember liking the first one at all. I haven't heard much about the sequel. I believe it is out elsewhere right now. All 3 of those games will be out Q3, so probably sometime over the summer. And then at the end of the year, we're going to have a Zach Miller fighting game called Blade Strangers from Studio Saizen-san. I think I said that right.
Yeah.
They developed the Code of Princess on 3DS, which is a pretty cool, also a Zach Miller approved hack and slash
Yes.
game.
I bought it and I didn't play it.
Damn bugging. It's
free. It's a regular in the Atlas sales back when they did those on 3DS.
Yeah, and it's also they did
Yeah.
Yumehari Kawase, which that game also came out, or one of those games came out on 3DS as well. And it's Blade Strangers is basically a 2D fighting game that is trying to have simpler inputs a la Smash Brothers, but looks like a Guilty Gear game, and that's coming out at the end of the year.
I'll be. I'm intrigued by the fighter just because I recognize some of the characters in it, but the end is nigh. Ed McMullen makes some I'm sure they're very good video games. I just have no interest in the kind of games that he works on. So I'll be intrigued to see if the end is nigh does something to change it. But from the description we've got, that's probably not going to happen.
I mean, it just looks like Meat Boy 2. Super Meat Boy came out on PS4 last year, I think, and it might have been a PS Plus game.
Yep,
it was.
And I played Super Meat Boy when it came out on X360 and devoured it. I don't know if I'm as into the mass-core platformers as I was a couple years ago. So that'll also go a long way as to if I want to play The End Is Nigh or not. I will definitely keep an eye on it because that dude makes some good games, even if Binding of Isaac kind of fell flat for me. Who knows? But Nicholas is supporting Switch in full force, at least for now. I mean, they were doing that on Wii U for a while.
Yeah, and hopefully, and maybe this time they won't add a patch in that breaks, basic game control.
All right, so let's move on to the big news from today, which Ubisoft brought a lot of Switch stuff to the fore. The most important thing that they announced is that Just Dance 2018 is coming out on Wii U, and Switch in October.
That's going to be a trivia question 10 years from now.
Yeah, I did. From talking with people on Twitter, I did find out that the most recent where a game came out 3 generations at the same time, because we did have I guess Just Dance 2017 came out on Wii U, and Switch, but the Switch version did not come out at the same time as the Wii and Wii U version. The last time this happened, I believe, was with FIFA 2014, which came out on PS2, PS3, and PS4. Yep. So it's not an uncommon occurrence, but definitely one that doesn't happen often.
Yeah, and if you're wondering why the Wii version is still getting made, the Wii version was actually the best-selling version of Just Dance 2017 last year.
Wow.
That's pretty funny.
I guess it's not that surprising considering the audience, but still, that is kind of amazing.
All right, so now let's really get to the important Ubisoft news. Steep is apparently still coming out on Switch, despite not being mentioned in basically anything about the game. There was a big DLC pack coming out in December. It's based off the Winter Olympics, but maybe it's coming to Switch. I don't know. The game supposedly is, in theory.
It was an odd choice. I mean, certainly, Ubisoft was pretty open about supporting the Switch, so it's kind of odd that they didn't mention it there.
I think that game has some challenges, such as a mandatory online connection, that make it kind of a difficult proposition, I think, to bring to Switch. And I could easily see this game getting the Saints Row treatment of, we'll promise it at the launch of the system, but not so much.
I mean, the difference is that Saints Row is a game that people wanted to play.
Yeah. The Saints Row 3DS game, yeah. I'm sure that would have done gangbusters. I
mean, that's way more interesting than a port of an extreme sports game that landed with a resounding thud last year. From what I heard with Steep is that was just kind of the way to get their Snowdrop engine onto Switch. It was kind of all right, let's do this, and I mean, I assume it'll come out. It did seem to resurface in some press materials where it was at least mentioned. So it still exists for now.
I'd like to think that we're going to get that Pyeongchang Olympic downloadable content, because that was certainly some Olympic-esque events there, but that might end up, if that game is only coming out later this year, we may not see that stuff until closer to the actual Winter Olympics.
All right, so now let's get to the real big Ubisoft news. Ubisoft Toronto is working on this pretty cool game. It's a space combat game called Starlink Battle for Atlas. It's not coming out until late 2018, or I think they said fall 2018.
Yeah.
But it's a kind of neat game where like you have real life figures that you can use to build your ship and it'll like clip onto your controller. There's a lot of details about this game that I would like to see figured out, and I guess we have about a year and a half for that to happen.
Yeah, we got a while. It's got another E3 it's going to show up at.
But the concept of this game sounds incredible.
It does.
It just, I don't know, like, is it going to be worth buying these physical items, especially when they did mention that you can basically get everything virtually as well?
Yeah, to me, like, the toy thing doesn't really interest me, but the game looks very much like something I want to play.
Like, it reminds me, like, there's a couple board games that I really like that are, like, similar in style to this, where, like, you have a ship that you're upgrading and building as you go, and there are, miniatures that you can build on. And like, I feel like there is a game in my head, because we haven't really seen that much about what the actual game is, but there is a game in my head that I would waste hours and hours and hours of my life in.
I'd be interested in the toy if it used motion controls. Because imagine you're holding it like an actual toy flying through the game.
I mean, you could probably do that. Like, I mean, in theory, if it's using the Switch controls, the Joy-Con,
well, just
you could use that as a motion
the
controller.
positioning of the ship itself on the grip, like in the middle, just made it seem like there's a possibility to it.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if I want to get
But then-
sucked into another Toys to Life thing. Like, I didn't get into
Yeah.
Skylanders as much as Neil, but I got into it. And I'm not sure I want to do that again. But if you can get all this stuff virtually, like, I might be sold on this game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
that's-
I think the Toronto branch I think they were the leads on at least one of the really beloved Assassin's Creed games.
I thought this was the first. I think the Toronto. I'm gonna Google it.
I just know that
I'm going to look up Ubisoft Toronto. I think they opened very recently.
Okay, I just know
is when they
okay.
opened.
Yeah, so I think they might have had some involvement with Black Flag, and I know that Clint Hawking, I think of Half-Life and Far Cry 2, is one of their principals. So that could get really funky really fast.
Yeah. I mean, I know former staff writer here, Tyler Olu, has been trying to solve the Clint Hawking case. I haven't checked in with him yet to see if what is Clint Hawking working on. So the first game that this studio made was Splinter Cell Blacklist. Then they worked on Assassin's Creed Unity, Far Cry 4, Rainbow Six Siege, Far Cry Primal, Watch Dogs 2. Although that looked like it looked like they were, I mean, maybe not the main developer, but they worked on Watch Dogs 2, they worked on For Honor, they worked on Far Cry 5, but this is one that they are leading from the ground up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ubisoft works that way a lot of the time. They
Yeah.
kind of distribute things.
They have 10,000 employees. That's how everything leaks.
Yep. So now let's get no more screwing around. So that Rabbids game is a real thing. Miyamoto came out at the start of the Ubisoft press conference with a gun, and then he killed everyone in the audience. And currently, cops are searching for Shigeru Miyamoto as he roams downtown LA.
I love how excited Miyamoto still gets for this kind of thing.
Yeah.
At his age, he's been around so long, he still gets into it like this. It's fun.
He had a fog machine. Like he looked like he was doing the comeback entrance for the wrestler who's been injured for a year.
Yeah.
And
My God, who is it?
my good God, that's Shigeru Miyamoto's music.
But no, I mean, like it was a great way to start off the show. And I mean, yeah, both Eves and Miyamoto together, like that's a good pair. I want to see them go on more like buddy cop adventures with their dumb looking guns.
And a businessman trying to save his company. The other is the creator's been taking a few too many drugs. Together they fight crime.
Well, yeah, one's a creator who made Star Fox Zero, and well, we saw how that turned out. So Miyamoto came out. There was a really nice moment where the creative director of Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle, like, looked like he was almost going to break down crying. There were some cool stories coming out after the fact about how, like, It's the creative directors from Ubisoft Milan, about how like Miyamoto was in Milan in like 2002, and like this guy was trying to find out what hotel he was at so we could meet him, and that didn't work. But then he finally got to meet him when they pitched this Mario and Rabbids game back in 2014. Which, holy lord, this game's been in development for 3 years.
3 years.
I mean, maybe in retrospect, like the fact that it took like 2.5 years to leak is really impressive.
Yeah, that is impressive, really. By Ubisoft standards, by the industry standards, that they kept it secret that long is pretty good. Although,
Yeah.
I mean, a part of it is like, how many people are really going to believe you? We're making a Mario and Rabbids like tactical RPG. It sounds like, you know, crazy made up stuff. Like maybe it did leak and nobody took it seriously.
Yeah. So this game is a weird strategy RPG. It's basically Mario and Rabbids meet XCOM, and it looks really cool.
Yeah,
Like-
honestly.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
I think this is my game of E3 so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's
It's-
like we haven't even gotten to the real shit with Nintendo as it's going to happen tomorrow. But like, I mean, this is what I've been after in video games in general for years at this point. And I made the comment at the start, like, you know, at the start of the weekend, about how, like, you know, I just want to see something kind of out there and crazy and original and inventive, and like this game kind of checks off all those boxes. Like, we'll see if it actually turns out to be good, and we won't have to wait long. It's out on August 29th.
Yeah.
So we have 2.5 months until that game is out. But like that, it just, in a really good way, like in a I've never played a game like this before kind of way. Because it so easily could have just been like, that's like Mario Luigi, but you got Rabbids now too. Like, no, but they went for this weird strategy RPG. Like,
Yeah,
the strategy RPG stuff where you're like chaining, like jumping on the heads of other player characters and like going through pipes, using cover. It looks really fun, and I can't wait to hear from our guys out at E3 when they get to play it. I would assume sometime tomorrow.
Yeah, it's like when we first heard about this, you know, when this started to leak a little bit ago, you know, a lot of people mocked it, and I was a wait and see, but I didn't think it sounded too weird. But it's like, now that I'm seeing this, it's like, yes, I'm on board for this. This looks really interesting.
Yeah, David, how about you? Are you down for some Mario and Rabbids action?
Oh, I definitely am. Just hoping that EB will take my money for a pre-order first thing in the morning tomorrow. You know? It took them forever for the Switch.
I literally just pre-ordered it right now.
I know there was a collector's edition for it, and it looks like there's a bunch of like there's some figurines and stuff, but there will not be specific amiibo. There won't be like a Mario and Rabbids amiibo line, although amiibo will do something in this game apparently.
Yeah, although, I mean, for all we know, we get that announcement tomorrow that there's going to be a specific amiibo for this.
Yeah, no, I saw some quotes like from people at Ubisoft saying there was no amiibo line. So, I mean, that seems like if there's no amiibo, if there's going to be amiibo announced tomorrow, it seems pretty shitty to just be like, nah, there's nothing.
No, I mean, well, it wouldn't be the first time we saw that with Nintendo and hardware.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
we'll see.
Well, I just think
I can't wait for someone
to.
What were you saying?
I just think the Switch audience is just ready for strange stuff. Like, give us new stuff. The Switch is new. You know, you got the old stuff to keep us happy, but give us something different.
Yeah, like I was kind of thinking, like, what was the play behind Mario and Rabbids? Like, I could see, like, you know, all right, you're trying to attract Ubisoft to you know, make games for your system, and you're trying to use your IP in different ways and all that jazz. But it kind of looked like, I think this game might be a way bigger hit than we all kind of expected when we reported on those leaks.
Yeah, it does seem like the internet is kind of coming around to it. Like it was like people were really down on the idea when it first came out, but the more we're seeing of this, people seem to think, yeah, actually, this might be kind of cool.
I think I saw somebody on Twitter, like, during the Assassin's Creed portion of the presentation, like, can we go back to the Rabbids? That is one of those sentences you never thought you'd see in 2017.
And you know what? All these people crapping on how the Rabbids are just like dumb proto minions. Like, you're not wrong, but who cares if the game's fun? Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been the biggest Rabbids fan. Like, I don't hate them really, but they're, whatever. But I don't know. It seems like this game is using them in a kind of interesting way, and really, the Mario XCOM. Like, I'm on board for that. If the Rabbids have to come along to get that, I'll take them.
Well, it makes you wonder if the leak actually benefited them, because it got that initial shock out of the way.
I would like to think
It
that we
might have.
helped out with the
Nintendo World Report
Well, like,
saved Mario versus Rabbids.
Yeah, I mean, I saw
Let the
people
negativity come out a few weeks ago, and now it's just exciting, right?
Yeah, because
it's like the Wii name. Like we all made the jokes before that E3, and well, it turned out to be the biggest hit Nintendo's ever had.
yeah, like I do kind of
It
think
was all on purpose.
in the alternate reality where this game doesn't leak, like, would the reception be similar? Would people just be shocked? Would people be mad? I do think that there is, like, the fact that this was a kind of proven. It was proven that it existed like a month ago. By the way, but it was proven that it existed a month ago, and I think that might have allowed people to have that, like, abhorrent negative reaction that, like, why would anyone ever do this? So that way, when it did actually crop up, you weren't just like, why is this happening? You're like, okay, this is a thing that exists. Yeah. Is it any good? Maybe it is.
I mean, I think the fact that the expectations were low because of knowing very little about it kind of helped people. Like, part of the positive reaction is saying, "Oh, this is a lot better than I thought it was going to be."
Yeah.
Although, if this hadn't come out, like if Lord Dale hadn't busted this like 9 months ago, and then we got the stuff last month, and Miyamoto walked out on stage at the start of the Ubisoft press conference, I think it would have
gone nuts.
It would have broke Twitter almost as like more than when he walked out on the stage for the Apple event last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think people were kind of expecting it, especially when they showed that rabbit in the beginning with the Mario coin block.
Yeah.
Like, then it was kind of people.
And then
it's time to go.
Yesterday they showed the people saw Miyamoto in LA, so he was there.
He's in LA anyway. Like,
is he though? I mean, Nintendo doesn't have a live press conference. He's not doesn't necessarily have to a have to be there anymore.
But he would go to. He goes to other booths. Like he goes to E3 as
E3 is still a great business, a great business meeting place as well. And I actually like. I mean, even in the years where Nintendo didn't have a press conference proper, I'm pretty sure Miyamoto was there every year because he'll do interviews and stuff too. Like he's a public face. Like I think there are some years. Like I've always wondered, like, is Tezuka going to be there every year? And that's someone who I could see like maybe skipping a year every now and then. But I think even he's been there every year that I went. I mean, dating back to 2009, I think I've seen Tezuka every year.
Yeah.
Maybe he wasn't
one of my most surreal moments when the E3 I went to in 2012 was just standing 10 feet away from Miyamoto and Tezuka, just casually having a conversation right on the edge of the Nintendo booth.
Yeah.
It was like, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It's E3, of course they're there, but, they're just right there talking.
I remember being up, like, I think we had an interview or something. I forget who. Or maybe we just had an appointment. But, like, so the way that Nintendo's booth at E3 is set up, and I think they're going to have the same setup this year, is that they have they have the large main booth, which is when people refer to the Nintendo booth, they're referring to that. It's, it's usually huge. It's what was decorated like Hyrule. It's what's going to be all Mario Odyssey like tomorrow. And then kind of like in the back corner, a thing it's like a 2-story structure that they have that's for, business meetings, press stuff. Where the interviews are, and it's basically just like a lot of 2 floors made onto the show floor, and there's like rooms in there. There's a lot of demos and stuff. I remember being on the second floor of that with former NWR staffer James Dawson, who I think he was like 19 at the C3, and we're up there, and we just see Miyamoto on the other side of it, and he's just like, "What do I do?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Say hi." And went over and said hi to Miyamoto, and Miyamoto just gave like the sleepiest, half-hearted, like, "Okay, hi," and then like shook his hand and then just walked away. Dude's probably tired, a lot of jet lag.
Oh, it's got to be. I'm exhausted at E3 and just being there. Like he's got to go around and do everything. I imagine it's crazy for him.
Yeah, it's 3 or 4 time zones for us. It's like what, 12 for him?
Yeah. No, I mean, I always, especially like if you see him. like maybe the middle of E3 is when they're cooking and kind of used to it. But like I would like at the start of E3, if you ever, I feel like I've had a couple like appointments that have like Japanese developers there, and there's always a moment where they're just kind of like, oh fuck, I'm tired, because like that's a rough it's a rough adjustment for me, and it's 3 hours. Can't imagine it for them. So, I guess before we wrap this up, does anybody have anything Nintendo wise from what we had? We had EA, we had Microsoft, we had Bethesda, we had Devolver Digital, we had the PC Gaming Show, we had Ubisoft, we had Sony, we had a whole bunch of stuff. I guess maybe like if there's a couple things you kind of want to call out that you're stoked for.
I'm very interested in seeing what games Devolver Digital are going to bring to Switch aside from the ones they've announced. Just after that, because after their press conference, I will follow them to the ends of the earth.
Yeah, I still haven't watched that, and I feel like I want to keep it that way for a while, just because I've just seen like GIFs and like people talking about it online. It just seems nuts.
Yeah, and Sony announced tonight that there's going to be, or the Sony press conference was announced that there's going to be a multi-platform Monster Hunter. I'm very interested to see what happens when they bring actual Monster Hunter 5 to the Switch.
Yeah, because there was a whole leak that seems to be kind of vindicated. So Monster Hunter World is this big open world Monster Hunter game that's coming to PS4, Xbox One, and PC in early 2018. The kind of the rumory buzz around that is that Sony was working with Capcom, and kind of like after the debacle that was Street Fighter V, supposedly Sony Capcom worked together, and then Sony was like, all right, cool, it can be multi-platform as long as it's not a Nintendo system. So it came out for Xbox One and PC. Meanwhile, apparently Capcom is working on a like Monster Hunter 5 that's going to come out on Switch. And I mean, they already are releasing Monster Hunter Double Cross in Japan on Switch. It's almost like there's now 2 competing timelines of Monster Hunter games, and we'll see what happens.
Wouldn't be the first time. I mean, we had there was the Freedom Unite series, which felt like a spin-off of Monster Hunter, even though the core gameplay was pretty similar. But this one, like you said, seems to be more open world. But I don't know. I kind of prefer my games to have closed worlds.
Yeah. No, like I think I saw what Monster Hunter World was doing, and maybe it'll appeal to a broader market than like Monster Hunter on 3DS, or I guess maybe a Western market might be the better answer there.
Yeah, it's not even announced for Japan.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a console game. I mean, like that's I think it's telling that the traditional Monster Hunter is on the system that Japan's buying.
Yeah, and that's what like I'd rather have a Monster Hunter game on Switch, because the only way I ever got into those games a lot was portably. So having that hybrid nature of being able to play Monster Hunter on the big screen with prettier HD graphics and be able to pick it up and play it with me, like that's really appealing. And I don't know if I really want to play a Monster Hunter game on PS4 and Xbox One. But that's just me.
To me,
I know there's a ton of people that think otherwise.
Yeah, I'm with you. I bought Monster Hunter Tri on Wii, but I didn't really I've never gotten that into Monster Hunter, but when I did get a little bit into it, it was on 3DS. To me, that's a series that is just best on a handheld type of thing, and with Switch you have that, or you can play on the TV. Like if I'm going to get into Monster Hunter for real, it's going to be on Switch.
So, all right, David, was there anything from E3 so far, non-Nintendo wise, that you were excited for?
I was from what I've seen, there's nothing, like everything seems the same to me. It all seems like dark, shoot 'em up games, like nothing all that original. Like I have an Xbox, and mostly just to play Bethesda games. Like I have Skyrim and Fallout. I've been following the Fallouts. But one of my favorite games on Xbox was like Sunset Overdrive, kind of a colorful, crazy game like that. That it doesn't seem like Sony or Microsoft is too worried about going off on a separate route of something of that nature again. Like it just seems like everything's like that Bethesda was all dystopian, what if things went wrong in the 1950s vibe.
Yeah, no, I think. I mean, a lot of people seem to not be into Bethesda's press conference as much, but I really liked it. Those games look good.
Well, the format was like the way that was presented. I thought was very well done. Like there was kind of with that little map, and they would kind of come in and out and go in the different worlds. Like I thought it was really well done.
Yeah, the presentation format was great, and the fact that they focused on 2017, unlike practically every other press conference, which aside from Assassin's Creed basically showed everything else coming in 2018.
Yeah,
especially you, Sony.
Well, and then I was interested in the Spider-Man because I do like the Arkham Knight series.
Yeah, basically just looks like Spider-Man Arkham City.
Yeah. So they're not going to win any points for originality, but if they're going to use a format that works, then hopefully it works well. But I don't see myself buying a PS4 to play that game necessarily either.
Yeah, I don't really see a whole lot of stuff on my PS4 specifically that I'm excited to play in 2017. I don't really like what first-party games do they even have?
Well, and I have no interest in the Uncharted. Like, to me, I could just watch, go on YouTube and watch where they take out the gameplay and you just watch the movie.
I mean,
you've basically played the game, right?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, those are interactive movies to a large degree.
Yeah, so
I'm
I've
kind of
never been
interested in
interested
Uncharted, but I mean, I have the collection on PS4 that I haven't played, so like a new Uncharted doesn't really appeal to me when I've got like 3 of them sitting here, or 4 of them. I guess they release the other one, so like there's so many of them that I could play. Adding another one to the pile doesn't really do much for me.
But it's funny because my brother thinks it's the greatest franchise ever made, and he keeps trying to force me to play it. Like, I'm not playing that game. It's like they'll make a movie and it'll cover everything. Don't worry.
I guess for me, someone in the chat mentioned Cuphead. I'm glad that got a release date. It's coming out in September. That game looks awesome. I'd argue that's probably one of the reasons why I have an Xbox One. And I mean, other than that, like I don't like getting into like the kind of like, oh, there was nothing for me, but like there kind of wasn't, and like that's okay. There's stuff for.
I was going to say, are you interested in original Xbox backward compatibility on Xbox One? Because that's really the big thing for me.
Yeah, that's really cool. There are original Xbox games that I either never played. Like I never played the Panzer Dragoon game that came out on the original Xbox.
That, yeah.
I'd love to play that. Like Crimson Skies. Like the fact that you can like, it looks like you can bust that out and like play. Like you can like play LAN.
Yeah, LAN play. That is
people
cool.
with an Xbox One to an original Xbox to an Xbox 360. Like that's kind of incredible, even if it's never going to happen.
My one beef with the backwards though is the good ones you have to pay for again. Like they're not backwards.
Well, I mean, your original discs will work with the Xbox One.
Like even the Arkham, like because they did the remasters of the Arkham, and I was under the impression that the originals wouldn't work.
Oh no! Okay, I think we might be getting into the confusing that there is an original Xbox and an Xbox One.
We're talking like Crimson Skies, original Halo, Brute Force, Blinks the Time Sweeper, those kind of games. That's what they were talking about.
Time Sweeper. That's what we're all itching to play.
Sneakers.
Yeah, that's what they meant by original Xbox backwards compatibility. Not like I'm sure. Like, if Arkham doesn't work because of Warner Brothers wanting to sell the remaster, that's on Warner.
Yeah,
that's them basically saying they want you to buy the game. They don't want to let you play the old ones for free. Yeah. Like because it's up to the publishers about what to support for that, and so not everything is supported.
Chat room are the Arkham games available on 360 backwards compatibility?
I would think that they're not, but
no, I don't think so because they came out with that single disc that has both, like the original and the Arkham City.
I mean, that's an unfortunate reality of the business, is that if like you're going to do those kind of remasters, you're not going to see, especially if they're not like Shadow of the Colossus getting that lavish remake. That while I don't understand why that's happening, I'll probably I really like that game. Remake's cool. We'll probably check it out. But if Shadow of the Colossus is available through any kind of backwards compatibility thing, I imagine that'll be fine because it's a platform holder. But when you get into stuff like Warner Brothers having, Arkham City and Arkham Asylum on one disc, you're probably not going to see that show up on backwards compatibility if it's on Xbox One already.
But I mean, the flip side of that, which was a really nice instance, EA last fall put all the Mass Effect games on backward compatibility on Xbox One in anticipation of Mass Effect Andromeda coming out. Which, when that happens, it was not I'm still in the process of playing through them, but I mean, that was a nice of trying to get people excited.
Yeah, according to Third Rate Minion, no, the Arkham games are not on backwards compatibility. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. So it's basically those, Tales of Vesperia, and Splinter Cell Conviction.
Yeah. All right. What else was cool about that was announced?
I'm assuming that it was for an Xbox One X.
No, I mean I have an Xbox One, and Crackdown 3 looked cool. I like Sumo Digital. They made a pretty dope Switch game in Snake Pass, and they're also making Crackdown 3. Terry Crews is shouting in that game. I'm a fan of that, and yeah, I mean. It could be like Crackdown 2 and it could be bad. Or it could be like Crackdown 1 and it could be very good. Time will tell. It's out in November.
Terry Crews does make everything better.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's scientifically proven. What else was cool? Spider-Man on PS4. I'm down for that. There's not a whole hell of a lot else that I'm really that into.
Yeah, really, this
was it clear that the enhanced games for Xbox X or whatever they want to call it, is it going to be free? The wording made it sound like they were leaving it open that the game could cost the regular $79.99, and then if you want the enhanced, it's like another $10 or something.
No, I think it just you buy it once, and I have a regular old vanilla Xbox One. I could buy games for that, and if I ever get an X, then all of those would be enhanced on that.
I think the door is open, but I think Microsoft's preference is that they just ship them as updates. Like I get updates on my PS4 for PS4 Pro compatibility. I got them for Final Fantasy 15, for instance. So I suspect the Xbox One owners of that game are going to see those updates soon as well, even if they don't use them. And I think, we sort of brushed by it a bit, but Wolfenstein 2, that new Wolfenstein game, looks really interesting.
Yeah, it looks like a fever dream in a really good way.
Yeah, I mean, I bought I played some of it. I didn't complete it, but I played through some of the first one, the new Wolfenstein on PS4, and I thought it was pretty good. And so, yeah, I'm not necessarily in a hurry to buy a new one, but I think it's a game that deserved a sequel, and I'm glad to see it's getting in.
Now that rainbow animal or worm or whatever it was, that was part of the game, right? That thing he was chasing on an LSD trip there.
I mean,
it
seems like it.
Yeah, probably.
It's the Great Gazoo.
Yeah. Just watching it, wondering if it was added in as a joke, but then they just kept going with the trailers. So I'm like, no, it's got to be in there.
Yeah, no, I think I need to track down and play that first Wolfenstein game. I'm kind of
really cheap at this point, so.
Yeah, I mean that and the Evil Within. That's kind of, I mean, and we never. I guess we'll talk about Beyond Good and Evil 2 right after this, but there were the couple games that I saw that I was just like, oh man, I need to go and play that previous game. The Evil Within 2 and Wolfenstein New Colossus were those two games so far that I saw those and was like, I need to check this shit out. Beyond Good and Evil 2 did make me want to go back and replay Beyond Good and Evil. I've never finished it, but I don't know what in the hell that game is supposed to be. I'm glad that Michel Ancel is making it, but I don't know why everybody's a motherfucker in that world, and also, there's a part of me that's kind of disappointed because I don't think that's coming to Switch.
Yeah.
It's also probably not going to be out for another 10 years.
Yeah, because I mean, Sony did upload the trailers to their YouTube channel, but it didn't show up tonight in Sony's press conference. Now maybe that's just we don't have time for this because they were trying to be in and out in an hour. But I'd say it's about I'd say there's a slim chance that that game comes to Switch, but if it does, it's because Nintendo paid up for it.
Or by the time the game comes out, the Switch's successor may be out, and it might come to that.
That's true as well.
All right, I think by that kind of silence, maybe we're done. It's late.
I don't want to talk about a Switch successor already.
Yeah. Well, can we at least get through an E3 of the original system before we start talking about its successor?
Yeah. It's like 95 degrees. We had a hell of a hot snap.
I had to turn my air conditioner off before we recorded.
Yeah, I had to put an air conditioner. Yeah, I had to put an air conditioner in my office. It'll probably limit our streaming tomorrow because I'm supposed to have 5 people in this room. It's not that big.
That doesn't sound good.
Might be some. We might be having a lot more breaks in between streams after the spotlight during Treehouse Live and all that jazz.
Just tag out. Like you'll have a few people in the stream. Everybody else can go get a water break, cool off.
Yeah. Yep. Have the air conditioner on, and then be like, "All right, we're going live. Turn it off." And then be like, "All right, we need to take a 5-minute break. Turn the air conditioner back on." I'm very excited tomorrow. I guess in our last moments, or in our last public moments before the Nintendo E3 spotlight, what is one thing that you realistically hope will happen? Like a long shot, but something that you actually think has a chance of happening.
Pikmin.
Pikmin. So Pikmin 4. What would you want your Pikmin 4 to be like?
I don't know. The thing is,
something that'll just blow your head back.
I'm fine with Pikmin 3 again because I thought Pikmin 3 was pretty much amazing and
it was so good.
It was the perfect combination of the elements from the first 2 games, and so basically just keep that and maybe add a few things, but that's what I want. I think I don't think that seems like a fairly realistic prediction. It's not that out there to say that could be there because, Miyamoto has in the past basically said the game was almost done, and that was like 2 years ago, so who knows where it is now. But it's a game that we know, well, we're pretty sure is actually happening, so I could buy them being something like, say, and for early 2018, Pikmin 4.
Shit, man, I'll be cockier with that. I think fall 2017. Pikmin 4.
All right.
I mean, I think that
I'll take that.
But my
surprise! It's out now.
Oh God, we wouldn't be streaming. I'd just be playing Pikmin 4 all day tomorrow.
There you go. You kick all the
just
people
stream
out.
Pikmin 4 all day.
Time.
Yeah. I think my kind of ballsy pick that I actually think has a shot is some sort of Metroid tease for probably 2018.
Yeah.
That's my kind of like, I don't think it's crazy. I think that could actually happen tomorrow.
I think it makes sense. I'm not. Yeah, I think that's very realistic. It's probably less likely than Pikmin, but still very realistic.
I have no idea what that game would be. I don't think Retro is going to be making it because I mean, if you follow what they've been kind of saying about Metroid over the past like 2 or 3 years, I don't think that timeline kind of adds up with when Retro finished Donkey Kong and we're moving on to something else. Because I think, what was that? It was E3 2015 is when they revealed Federation Force and kind of had to double back, being like, yeah, Metroid in the future, we're thinking about it, I swear. And that's why, I mean, I do think that after the response to Federation Force, I mean, they tried to salvage that game, but after E3 2015, the response was so overwhelmingly negative that if they are making another Metroid game, I think they kind of figured out what they were going to do around 2015, early 2016, and that game is in development.
Hopefully by Next Level.
Yeah. I mean, you're right that they're it's hard.
I don't think Next Level would be behind it. I don't think, or at least if Next Level's behind it, we're not seeing it this year.
Next Level doesn't. Well, yeah, that's true, and I don't think Next Level. I love Next Level. I think they're very good. I don't think they have the chops to make a real Metroid game.
I mean, because a lot of their stuff has been of the more like sportsy, bite-sized variety.
I mean, it's a special skill that very few people have managed to pull off, really. To make a true Metroid game and to have it work, and maybe they can, and I'm just doubting them. But I don't think they're the ones to do it.
Like Next Level has made some games that I absolutely adore, but if you look at their kind of their lineup for Nintendo, or their resume with Nintendo, Striker, the two Strikers games, Punch Out, Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, and Metroid Prime Federation Force, and all of those games, I mean, they're
sports, all good. But
they're all very good. Deep. Yeah, but they're either sports or like a longer game into bite-sized chunks that works well for a portable.
Yes, are you talking 2D or 3D?
I would want 2D, but I like looking into my crystal ball. It's foggy. I don't know what it could possibly be. I'll default, and I said this. My hope amongst hopes for pretty much every E3 since like 2010 has been show me a 3D Mario that will blow my mind. Maybe we're actually going to have that tomorrow with Mario Odyssey.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see more about Mario Odyssey.
But whenever I talk to people, and I've actually had this conversation with people, just because I think Metroid has just been in the air lately. I'm wearing a Metroid shirt. Feeling it was my kind of I'm gonna make it happen. I'm gonna will it. But I've talked to a lot of people about like, well, do you want to see a 2D or 3D Metroid? And my answer has just been like, I don't know, make something cool.
Yeah.
Like I don't really care what it's like. You know what I mean? Outside of the story, Other M was pretty cool.
I think there is very much an opportunity to take the idea behind Other M and do it better.
Yeah.
And I think Nintendo might not want to get into the 2D Metroid scene because that's kind of there's so many people trying that right now. It's such a crowded field. I know Nintendo could do it better, but I think Nintendo might want to blow people away with like a really like show off like the power of the Switch and do something big. And I think that would almost necessarily be a 3D game.
So hopefully we'll hear about Metroid tomorrow. So David, what's your hope against hope that could realistically happen?
Well, I have a realistic one and a not so realistic one. The realistic one is I'd like to find out. I think Virtual Console's dead, but I'd like to see if there's going to be something besides this online Netflix, where there's maybe an expansive library of older. Like I just want to try some old games on my Switch.
Me too.
Have you tried that? Have you heard of the Arcade Archives?
But
no Nintendo. I want Nintendo.
So for the next issue of Nintendo Force, you can read. I wrote a kind of roundup of the Neo Geo games. So I've spent a lot of time with those Neo Geo games lately. They're not bad. It's just there's 3 genres. That's it.
There's Neo Geo.
You got shoot 'em ups, yes. And then it's like Turf Masters. Like that's it.
Yeah, like there's shoot 'em ups, and there's fighting games, and there's Metal Slug.
Yeah. Like Shock Troopers is pretty cool. Like, but like it's like those games are just so kind of boring because they're all the same, and there is like nuance and differences, and some are better than others. But like I want Virtual Console games on my Switch, and that's why that news about the online kind of crushed me a little bit, because like I think full stop we are not going to see NES or Super Nintendo games on Switch until the online launches, because I think that's too confusing to be like, oh, so we're going to have this thing where you can get like Balloon Fight and Super Mario Brothers 3 and they have online. You could have previously paid for these games without online before. Like that just like I feel like that's too confusing of a message to do, and I guess they could do it because Nintendo is not one to shy away from confusing messages. But I think that's a dumb move.
The Nintendo, somebody from Nintendo specifically said this is not Virtual Console. We haven't decided what we're going to do with Virtual Console yet. It gives me hope that it is going to come. Like they're not just replacing it with this and this is all we're going to get. There's going to be something. But
I think my hope for a Virtual Console in 2017, and maybe even tomorrow, because you think they got to shadow drop something over the next 3 days. and a retro game on Switch seems like a pretty good thing to just like say it's out now. My hope, and if I were a betting man on any kind of retro shadow drop at E3, Mother 3 would be my top pick, and I think you can do that without kind of confusing any messaging with NES flicks or whatever the hell you want to call it.
And if not,
another thing would be a GameCube game.
Yeah, that's what I was just
Melee
about to
or
say.
something like that. Maybe Sunshine to kind of tie it in and be like, oh, like Mario Odyssey looks cool. Enjoy Sunshine right now.
I would play the shit out of Sunshine on Switch.
Like I would call out of work another day on Wednesday and just play Sunshine on Switch.
The GameCube makes sense
sit in my
because
cubicle and
it's,
just play Sunshine on my cube. Screw everybody.
I mean, they haven't sold GameCube games before, and they're not going to be part of the Nintendo Online thing. So, like, this would be a clean way to start something without having to worry about previous precedent or something.
Yeah.
So, I think GameCube might be the way to go.
And we got Beyond Good and Evil 2 this year, so I think that pretty much leaves Mother 3 and Half-Life 3 as the only dream games we haven't gotten yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, my other really out there is I really hope Final Fantasy comes back to Nintendo. I don't care if it's a remake of an old game or a new game. Just throw something on there, even if it's the NES. Final Fantasy 1. I don't care.
What if I told you that there was a Final Fantasy Picross potentially coming to 3DS in North America?
I'd pick it up.
I know. I'm probably going to buy it
free
on
to
my
play anyway.
Oh, it is? Okay, I'm probably going to get that on my Japanese 3DS. I think that's coming out in July.
Yeah.
I'm all about that.
Like, I don't think they can get 15 on the Switch. And I have it for Xbox, so I don't need it. But it'd just be nice that something comes. Like, maybe, even if it's... Like, I'm not a big Final Fantasy 7 guy, but I would still buy the remaster if it was on Switch.
Yeah.
I mean, there's rumors that it might be. You know, I mean, who knows how accurate those are, but there are people saying that's going to happen.
That remake may as well not exist right now, though, given the fact that it just got taken internal.
I don't think it does. I don't think it may as well. I don't think it does. I think it really doesn't exist right now. I think
or it exists in complete disrepair.
It exists in theory, in the minds of the people who truly believe in it. But it's in terms of like actual code, I don't think there's much to it at the moment.
Yeah. Well, and I was disappointed that the Decid is not going to be on like that new. The new one doesn't appear to be on Switch.
Yeah.
It's not really the same, but still.
Still a bummer. All right,
Squall
Donald.
was on it, so I would get it.
Donald, what's your realistic but out there prediction?
I guess at this point, I was going to say that Xenoblade 2 is actually a 2017 game, but that seems to be more and more likely at this point. So I'm going to say that
doesn't seem out there at this point.
Yeah. Still,
so
I would say that's maybe a hot take, but
yeah. But I'm thinking at this in light of tonight's events, I have to say I'm kind of hoping for Monster Hunter's Double Cross to get announced for Switch in North America.
Coming out on the same day as Monster Hunter World, because fuck you, that's why.
No, coming out in like October.
Yeah. I mean, that would probably be the realistic answer there.
Seems,
and it's the true successor to Monster Hunter.
Yep. Just start all kinds of wars.
Dueling Monster Hunters.
This is how Capcom falls.
Although
dueling Monster Hunter factions.
Yeah, if you believe the leaks, that's actually happening. So.
All right. Well, actually wrap this up. We did this for about an hour. I hope you guys all enjoyed this and get ready for E3. I mean, I guess we are in the middle of E3 right now, but the Nintendo portion of E3 will start in
really
tomorrow.
All of this is like the pre-show. Nintendo is the real E3.
I know. I can tell you, our YouTube channel will have a lot more tomorrow because right now we got some FIFA content and that's it.
God bless Jared and Johnny doing their best.
Well, I think the door is open for Nintendo to blow everyone away because nothing is.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's really done that amazing. Like Nintendo's.
There have been solid showings, but not like incredible ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope Nintendo's is special tomorrow. We'll be back here tomorrow, probably starting between 10 or 11 a.m. Eastern. I kind of, as I'm screwing around and prepping for tomorrow, especially with this dumb heat, I expect some sort of technical difficulties. But before the Nintendo press conference, we will be streaming some ARMS. So get stoked for that.
Oh man!
And then
like all the E3 excitement, I forgot ARMS is coming out this week.
And I have as part of our the review copy embargo stuff, I can stream 2 hours. So we'll probably be streaming 2 hours of ARMS total throughout the day tomorrow. But yeah, so we're going to be streaming ARMS before the Nintendo Spotlight. Then we will, prep, maybe have a little bit of a pre-show, watch the Spotlight, then come back and break it all down over the course of, I don't know, the next 2 to 3 months.
Caution, the takes will be flaming.
Yeah, it'll probably get hot and heavy. And we're going to be watching Treehouse Live and hanging out, and hopefully you'll join us. And thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Enjoy E3. I hope this is the E3 of your dreams.
Yes.
Because we'll see. We'll see how it is tomorrow. But thank you, David, Donald, and JP for joining me. And we'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.